Hey guys, Luke here. I'm here to do a preview of the 2015 NRL season. We're doing round 1 right now, and the rest of the videos, if you go to my channel, they're all going to be up there, so go and check them all out. But this video, we're doing Super Saturday, so it consists of 3 games, which is quite good for us as a viewer. So we've got Newcastle Knights taking on New Zealand Warriors first up, moving on to the Gold Coast Titans taking on the West Tigers, and then we've got the Cowboys taking on the Roosters. Let's get into the first game, which is the Knights taking on the Warriors. So Knights lineup is as follows. We've got Gidley, McManus, Gagai, Leilua, Uwate, Mullen, Roberts, Snowden, Kenny-Dowell, Sims, Scott, Rocco, Smith, and the bench is Randall, Houston, Farlongo, Stockwell, and Matautia. And one's to be admitted and probably going to be Sione Matautia. Moving on to the Warriors side, we've got Tompkins, Lolohea, Hurrell, Carter, Vadavai, Townsend, Johnson, Lilliman, Lulawai, Madalino, Thompson, Hoffman, Mannering. The bench is Friend, Henry, Lissoni, I'm not sure about that, and then Veta, or whatever, and then Matangi with one to be admitted. Now, I believe Sam Tompkins is in a fair bit of doubt. I don't know if he'll end up playing. If he doesn't play, obviously it changes a few things. I'm not sure who would go to fullback or anything. There's no Kevin Lock there anymore, so I don't know whether Lolohea would end up there, but I suppose that's something Warriors fans would probably be more knowledgeable on than me, and I don't really know how much that will affect the game of the Warriors. Obviously Tompkins is a top player, but you know what? I'm looking at this Knight side, and I think it's an okay side. Like, I think it's better than they've had in previous years. Beau Scott, a good player. Rocco, strong player. Smith, another strong player. But they look like a good overall solid side. I'm not sure how that's going to fare for them throughout the whole season, but I think they're a good solid side. The only thing is the wingers Uwate, McManus had long layouts last year. Uwate, I'm not really sold on anymore. Back in like a few years ago, would have been a shoe-in for that wing spot, but I just feel he's got so many areas in him these days. So I don't know. I think I probably would have picked Sione Matautia. At the same time, we're judging him off a few games as well. So bit of a hard one for Knights fans, and for like Matautia himself, coming from playing for Australia and not getting picked for the Knights. I do, however, think I wouldn't pick Kurt Gidley at fullback. I sort of in a bit of predicament where Gidley, his brother's the CEO, whatever, runs a club or whatever, and he is their captain. So I suppose they feel they can't drop him or anything. Probably would have threw him on the bench there. Maybe just have a bit of a go at hooker for a bit of a spell and just, I don't know, roam him around. But I just don't think there's a spot for Kurt Gidley in their best side. But they kind of got him there on principle, and I think it's going to hurt the side in the long term. Warriors side, I think they look very strong. Ryan Hoffman's first full game. I think Lil like hooker's a pretty good move, but at the same time, I think Friend's very consistent. I'm not a fan of Townsend, so Lil at 5'8" probably would have been a better option for me. But pretty keen to see how this Solomon Carter goes. Talked up, he's in my Supercoach team, so a few of these guys in my Supercoach side. So pretty keen to see how they go. Predictions on who's going to win. I'm going to take Warriors, but it's a bit hesitant one because we all know Warriors are pretty dodgy away from home. Obviously, this is away from home game. It's at Hunter Stadium. And Knights, they do have a pretty solid side, so it's a bit of a hard one. There's no form to go on, so I'm not really sure for this one, but I'm just going to go Warriors. But if Sam Tompkins doesn't play, then I'm going Knights. Moving on to the second game of the evening, it's the Gold Coast Titans taking on the West Tigers. Let's go through the Titans lineup. You got Zillman, Gordon, Roberts, Hoffman, Mead, Sezar, Mortimer, Douglas, Mosley, Pettybourne, James, Robinson, and Miles. And the bench is Parsi, Ione, Beau, Sharma, and Simpkins. Moving on to the Tigers lineup, which is Tedesco, Naguama, Simona, Lawrence, Richards, Moses, Brooks, Woods, Farah, Galloway, Sirinen, Sue, Halatau, and the bench is CM Munafanai, or Fagai, whatever his name is. We've got Tapau, Lodge, Santi, and Lovett, with one to be dropped off the bench. Now, obviously, Titans are in a bit of a situation here. We got no Greg Bird, no Dave Taylor, a few players that they lost, like Takarangi and stuff. So, they're a bit of a different side last year. I do think Kieran Mosley is a great signing for them. I'm not going to lie and say I've seen so much of him in the Files Cup, but in the ones I've seen, he seems pretty good. I think he is an upgrade on Beau Falloon, and I find it pretty funny that Beau Falloon got their player of the season last year. But anyway, moving on. The halves. I think the halves are going to be a good battle in this game. I don't think they're the strongest halves by any means. I think Sezar's the best out of all of these guys. But, it's some guys who haven't really proven themselves that much, apart from Sezar, he's been solid for many years. Mortimer's been in and out of first grade, come off the bench, starting. Like, he's never really cemented a spot apart from that initial run at the Eels. Then we got Moses and Brooks, who are so young, and I do think are very hyped up more than what they should be, but that's another story. We can't hold that against them. But it's be interesting to see how their combination goes, because I don't think they did get to play that much, because I think when Moses came in, Brooks ended up getting hurt last year. Also, Tedesco is back for Tigers, which should be a big help, because we saw him and Brooks combine pretty well last year when he was fit. But you know what, let's hope that Tedesco can actually stay on the field this season. Chris Lawrence, interesting to see how he goes, but I just don't think he's got it anymore. Pat Richards is another year older. Interesting to see how his legs go this year. Forward pack wise, Gold Coast, they've sort of been, they're up against the wall here, but they're going for a very, very big forward pack. They've got props playing second row and that, so obviously they're just going to try and outmuscle them, which I suppose isn't a bad idea, because Tigers don't have the biggest pack by the looks of things. Woods isn't the most renowned for being aggressive in that, although he can be. He just isn't a huge impact player or anything. Galloway, another one. Siren and Sue Halatau, still they're not huge players. I know Siren is pretty tall, but they're not the biggest one. Tapau probably the biggest one for the Tigers in terms of he's got a big impact. He's pretty solid. So maybe the plan for Titans is to just bash him, and I suppose it's not a bad idea, especially when you got like little Brooks, little Moses. I don't know how well Moses defends, but I think he's pretty small if I'm recalling correctly. Titans, I'm not sure what's going on with. I don't know why Zillman still gets picked. He doesn't really do much in games anymore. He's had so many injuries that his blistering speed isn't quite there anymore, and that was one of the things that he had. I know they tried him at 5'8", so he's got some sort of skill, but I do think Josh Hoffman is a much better option at fullback. Maybe in the bigger picture things, the bigger scheme of things, is that they don't have another good centre, so Josh Hoffman has to play there. So it's better to have two decent centres and an okay fullback than have a great fullback and a shitty centre. So I don't know. Maybe that's how they're looking at things. But if I'm going to make a prediction on who's going to win, I'm going to go the Tigers 1-12. I just think they'll be just a little bit too strong, a little bit too much finesse, I suppose. I think Brooks' kicking game and all that sort of stuff, I think they should be okay there. But I didn't mention Robbie Farah, but I'm expecting him to have a big game for this one. Also, I hope Dean Harter has a good game, because he's awesome. Moving on to the last game on Super Saturday, it's the Cowboys taking on the Roosters. To get into the lineup, we've got Morgan, O'Neill, Wright, Linnett, Winterstein, Thurston, Louis, Scott, because Jason, Hennett, Cooper, Lowe, and Taumalolo. And the bench is Granville, Hall, Bolton, Tamu, Tanjanoa, and Thompson, with 2 to be omitted. Roosters lineup is Tuivasa-Sheck, Tupou, Jennings, Ferguson, Kenny-Dowell, Maloney, Pearce, Warrior-Hargreaves, McIlrick, Moa, Corner, Guerra, and Lou. And the bench is Orbison, Napa, Evans, Takaio, however you pronounce it, and Kennedy, and McDonald, with 2 to be admitted. No, I think this one is a cracking contest. I think it's probably, for me, because I'm a Bulldogs fan, I think that one is the most important, followed by this one of the round. Just two top sides, two teams that I expect to be up and around the top 4, if not in it. Well, I think definitely at least one of these sides will be in the top 4. The Cowboys side, I was a little bit surprised not to see Lachlan Coote, but at the same time, he's had he has so many season-ending injuries. At some point, something's going to give. So maybe he just doesn't have it anymore. I mean, he had a lot of pace back in the day, so maybe it's worth just keeping Michael Morgan at fullback. I mean, he was a revelation last season, and it's not like he hadn't had opportunities for at 5'8" and that, and he just wasn't good. So maybe just keeping Michael Morgan at fullback, where he's actually been very impressive, rather than throw him into the halves where he's been pretty mediocre beforehand. It's a safe bet having Morgan there. He's very quick, so I don't think it's a bad move keeping Morgan there. And plus, Robert Louis did have a pretty good end of the season last year. Justin O'Neill making his move from the Storm. He comes in on the wing. I think they had Felt there before, and they tried Curtis Ranum. He's obviously not there anymore at the Bulldogs, but Felt, I think he's just a little bit too inconsistent. And Justin O'Neill, barring injuries, is I think he's a great winger. I think even a centre, he could be. Matthew Wright got suspended for their Asada thing. Missed out in the final series, so it's a bit disappointing for him. But he comes back into the side, and I think he's actually been a pretty good player for them. And when he initially signed, I was a bit iffy on him. Wasn't really sure. Hadn't been impressed with him that much beforehand, but yeah, he seems like a pretty solid player. The halves pairing, Thurston Louis up against Maloney and Pearce. It's hard to judge which one I actually think is the better half spring because Thurston's just so good, and Louis he's pretty adequate as much as I don't like him. But at the same time, Mullen and Pearce are two very solid players. So, who were representative players. They're not right now, but they were. So I don't know if Mullen and Pearce combined beat Thurston and Louis, but it should be a pretty good contest. The forward pack, and this is another great contest. You've got Taumalolo, we got Matt Scott, we got Ben Hannett, who's made his move, and I'm really interested to see how Ben Hannett goes. We got Tummy on the bench, Bolton, another big lad who's quite good. Taking on all the Roosters, big boppers, Hargreaves, Moa, Nappers off the bench, even like Cordner, all them. I expect Aiden to play, come up and get more involved than he has in the past, which he has been in the past, but just with Sonny Bill not being there, he becomes have a little bit more attention on him, because obviously Sonny Bill takes away a lot of attention, drags a lot of players in. So for these guys like Guerra and Cordner who used to just hit the holes, they might not be there anymore. Taumalolo, I think was very damaging last year. Interesting to see how he goes. I expect him to just go through and smash everybody, to tell you honest with you. If I had to make a prediction on who's going to win, I'd say the Cowboys, just purely the fact that it's a home game for them, and usually they're pretty good at home. It's their away games where they struggle, and I think Roosters, they might struggle initially, sort of figuring out life without Sonny Bill. But at the same time, Blake Ferguson comes in, so that adds another dynamic to the side. But I think Cowboys are too strong. Looking at the side, I think Cowboys could even best them at the end of the year as well. Like in terms of ladder position, it just all depends on how they go away from home, in my opinion. Forward pack, the back line. The back line, I think Roosters got the better back line, but forward pack plus Thurston, I think that they'll just have too much class for them. It all depends on how some of these lads play, like the Lows and the Coopers and even the Ben Hannett. Kosh Jason is another one who needs to have a pretty solid game. But that's where I'm going to leave the episode or the video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you'd like, you can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Luke on YT. I'm not sure if I'm going to be tweeting through the games or anything, but I don't know. There's always that. And I've got a Facebook page in the description below. And leave your predictions on the games. Check out my other videos, and I'll see you for Super Sunday. Oh, sorry, not Super Sunday, but Sunday afternoon football. Bye, guys.